Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Sorry I haven't posted any updates or videos these last few weeks. It's been a really busy time, but a lot of things in my tent have changed, and today we're going to go through and look at different things I have in bloom and also some changes I've made to my setup. Since this guy is here, we'll start with this little flower. This is Paphiopedilum barbatum, and it's got a beautiful white dorsal that's striped with this sort of mahogany color. It's been open for maybe 2 weeks now, and I think this flower will last quite a while. But it's pretty small. Like, here's my hand. Just one of the reasons I really like it. And then the leaves, also very small, so this is a really nice compact plant. So with this guy out of the way, we'll go and look at some of these Lepanthes back here. So generally, the Lepanthes are doing fine. I did want to update you guys on sort of a cultural thing that I have been trying out. And let me just pull an example. So, if you'll notice, this plant is on a cork mount with some live moss, rather than my traditional tree fern with dried moss. And this was something I wanted to test out, just because I had a lot of live moss on hand, and I also didn't really want to make more tree fern mounts for the order that I had put, because I had run out of like pre-made mounts. And I mean, happy to say that the plants are growing pretty well on these mounts. You can see when I first mounted this, the moss wasn't too green, and now now it's really greened up after, I think this was probably like a month and a half ago actually. But this is Lepanthes, this one is D'Alessandri, and yeah, this was like a fresh import a month and a half ago. And see here, this is a new leaf that's been produced in my grow tent, and so that's one of the signs I kind of look for to sort of get out of that danger zone of things not surviving through an import. So I'll show you a few others as well. This one's actually in bloom. This is Lepanthes pelvis. But yeah, one thing with Lepanthes is, just because they flower for you, doesn't mean you're out of the danger zone in terms of losing the plant post-import. Really, even though flowers are what we strive to eventually get, what you really want to, we really want the plant to be growing are leaves and roots when you first import them. And so here, I was panicking a little when this thing started flowering right away. But now you can see here, there's 2 little leaves emerging. So, pretty sure I'm out of the danger zone for now. And again, this is another one of those live moss on cork mounts that I have, and I mean, I think aesthetically it's quite nice. So I might eventually go and swap all of my dried moss mounts with this live moss mix when I grow out a little bit more of it. I think this flower here, Lepanthes telepogoniflora, never really gets old. It's always such a pleasure to look at. And this plant here is again on this cork with live moss setup. It's doing pretty well. This is actually a capsule forming here. But yeah, always want to show this when it's in bloom, and they're almost always in bloom. Another little update from my my previous Lepanthes video. This one is Lepanthes colonian, and it was not looking great at all in my update video. But it's since put out a flower spike in inflorescence and given me this bloom. And again, I was nervous because it started blooming, but it started putting out a new leaf here as well, behind this dead one. So hopefully that is the beginning of a steady recovery for this plant. I was really worried I'd lost it. You can see here this leaf isn't looking great. But anyways, it's recovering now, and it's producing these very interesting little red blooms for me. Here's one of those more medium-sized Lepanthes, Lepanthes dactylopedala, and if you can see the growths down here, I'm gonna try to highlight them. Watch my finger. See, there's one right there. There's another there. One back here. This thing again was making inflorescences right after I imported it, and so I was again worried that it would not really make it. But it started making leaves now, and there's tons of good roots as well. I'll try to hold this still for you. Yeah, this one has a very similar look to a lot of other Lepanthes that I have, but the petals are very uniquely shaped. This first little flower is not too darkly colored. I would have expected a little more of an orangey tinge to the sepals, but I'm growing this guy at the very bottom of my shelf, so maybe it doesn't get enough light to color up. But yeah, Lepanthes dactylopedala, and I do have two of these, so when I have them both in flower, I'm thinking of crossing them. I think this will be one of the last Lepanthes that I show. This is Lepanthes zamarensis. I've wanted this one forever, and I finally got it a few months ago. But if you look at this flower, you might be able to see why I wanted it. It's such an amazing looking flower. Let me cover this tag. Such an amazing looking flower, and the little hairs on the sepals there give it so much character. But yeah, so this was another import, and you can see here there's a new leaf. So I'm not panicking as much as I was maybe a month ago when it started making inflorescences without leaves. But I have two of these as well, so I will be also cross-pollinating those to try to get some seed. So I'm going to use this little monster here as a segue to the next section. But this is Lepanthes tentaculata, and as you can see, part of the plant looks really healthy, like this little bunch here, but there's a lot of leaves over here that maybe aren't looking so great. And so what happened was I moved it to where it was, so right here, and I guess it was getting a little bit too much light. And so this whole patch of leaves that used to be here got like burnt and then dried up and crisped up, and some of these are a little more red than I would prefer. But unfortunately I don't really have another location to put this plant, just because of the way I have my plants organized. If I had moved this somewhere else that was shadier, I'd have to displace a bunch of other things I'd also need a more shady environment. And so I will now show you the culprit. So this is how I have these plants set up. I have a this is a Spider Farmer SF300 light at the very top, and then I have my higher light Paphiopedilums up there, some Helianthus, Dendrobium cuthbertsonii is on this shelf, and then I have this kind of like packing plastic. I don't know, it's like a foamy kind of material, and I thought, okay, that'll be good shade for the plants down there. Completely forgot that light can also travel like this, and so up here I had two Spider Farmer SF1000s, which are the really big square ones. That was way too much light, and so that's probably how those leaves got burned. And then also these guys over here were looking a little red, and so I switched it out for an SF600, and now this SF600 lights this whole half of the tent here. This SF300 lights this whole half of the tent, and then I have some like random aquarium light down here, which I might switch out for grow lights, which kind of lights up this bottom shelf. But yeah, those are that's sort of the major change in setup, I think, since my previous video. But since I quickly mentioned my Dendrobium cuthbertsonii, I think I made like 2 or 3 videos about an experiment I was trying with this sort of synthetic sphagnum moss to see if we can grow them at a not as cold temperature. And so, long story short, yeah, you can grow them like with those at the intermediate temperatures that I have, but you can also grow them in sphagnum. So I don't know what I was reading, or what I read when that person said you can't grow them in sphagnum at warmer than, I think it was like 10 degrees Celsius, because the sphagnum emits some kind of toxin. And so yeah, you can totally grow them in sphagnum. I even have this community pot here, probably like 15 plants. You can start getting rid of them soon. Here's one in a clay pot. Here's another one, and then that's not one, but there's another one. And so yeah, you can totally grow Dendrobium cuthbertsonii with sphagnum moss, with a minimum day temperature of 15 to 16 degrees Celsius, and a maximum of 24 Celsius. So yeah. But anyways, so I kind of was doing a week-by-week update. I was assuming they would either die or just be fine, and they were fine, so there wasn't too much to update. Thought they were closer to blooming size at that point, but I think they finally are at blooming size, because here I have my first bud developing. So very interested to see what kind of color comes out of this. I believe this cross was a pink with a pink bicolor, but with Dendrobium cuthbertsonii, I mean, yeah, you can get kind of like whatever color out of that. So this one's probably going to be some kind of pinkish red, just by the color of the bud. But yeah, really interested to see what happens to these guys here. So this little row is going to be the ones I keep, and then eventually when I open an eBay store, I'll sell off the rest of those guys back there. And speaking of Dendrobiums, I pan over this guy. This is Dendrobium hecuense. It used to be on this little clay cone here, which is like a fish breeding cone that I had. I was fully convinced this was dead, and so I just kind of put it here to let it slowly, what's the word, like, until it like actually rotted away, just to confirm it's dead. But to my surprise, if you can see where my thumb is right here, it's most definitely not dead. It's actually throwing out several growths. So I think this is one of those deciduous Dendrobiums that has like a dry season. So now that I know that, I probably will give it a dry season again next winter. But yeah, not dead, and it's growing. Probably gonna flower as well, knowing these Dendrobiums. Okay, we're gonna move to my Restrepias. I did a video about these for, I think, when I unboxed them. But anyways, so this one over here is Restrepia howii, I think. Yeah, Restrepia howii. And it's been flowering like crazy ever since I've had it, basically. And I don't know if you've ever smelled your Restrepias, but this one is really, really stinky. It's especially bad midday if you get close to those flowers. Other than that, everything else is growing in well. You can see this, this is Subote, Restrepia Subote. Yeah, you see there's a lot of new leaves coming. There's a little baby Subote. I pulled a keiki from this plant. This Brachypus here it looks so sad. And that, again, I think is because of the SF1000 lights I had, were just too much light for these little guys. Same with this Morii, Restrepia Morii here. And so, yeah, the this new light that is like a little bit less intense should help sort of green up these leaves, and maybe it'll start blooming again. So let's just keep moving down these trays here. Here's some Paphiopedilum charlesworthii. I mean, supposedly album, but I mean, looking at the leaves, it's very much not an album. There's pigments on the leaves, so something went wrong with the seller's tag there. But anyways, these guys are looking okay. I moved them up here, just because I was running out of space on the shelf. Here's a Spicerianum I recently repotted into this this mix I have of perlite, pumice, and bark. I made a video about that. If you're curious on how to repot these things. Paphiopedilum appletonianum, looking really nice with 2 growths. Here's a Vietnamense as well, Paphiopedilum Vietnamense. I battled mealybugs on these guys. And I don't know if I'll do a video on that, just because that would require me getting mealybug skin, and I've been pretty good about not having pests in here, so except for fungus gnats, which are kind of everywhere. This little guy here, this is Paphiopedilum barbatum, or what is that, barbagerum. It arrived kind of rough looking, and you can see the larger growths kind of died away, but there's a little itty bitty guy in there starting up again. So hopefully I can grow it out back into blooming size. Got some Paphiopedilum dianums here. Again, these will probably be for sale once they get a little more established. I mean, you see those roots there, they look really good. So let me see if they, yeah, so you can pick the pot up because it's like pretty tight. But yeah, these are probably good to go soon. But I mean, the foliage is so nice. I keep saying I'm gonna sell them, but you know, when I come in here and look at them, I want to keep them. It just makes me want to keep them, you know. Here's an interesting one. This is Paphiopedilum delenatii, and this apparently happened. You can see there's a root decided to just come out the bottom of the pot. The plant is not big, you know, it's a 2-inch pot, the 2-inch leaf span, but for some reason this root decided to grow out at the bottom. And I actually have a couple of plants doing this, so it's going to be really unfortunate when I have to repot this. I'll probably sacrifice the pot, obviously, rather than cut the roots of the plant. Other than that, I got a bunch of nice little seedlings here. They're all growing at a pretty good pace. Ooh, these guys kind of rotted away, so I have to dispose of them soon. But I have some Figurianums here. This is like a half alba with a times a half alba, so like 25%, or should be alba. This is Tranlinianum alba. Another delenatii here. I love these leaves, by the way. Yeah, I'm curious what people think is the most attractive Paphiopedilum leaf. I think delenatii is pretty close to my favorite, in terms of like the mottled leaves. Just more paphs here that I do eventually need to get rid of for some space. Here's a Spicerianum. This thing has been in bloom forever. Probably like at least 3 months, or 2 or 3 months. But this is a first bloom seedling from a flask, so I'm pretty happy with it. I'm pretty happy with, especially with this this particular individual, how fast it bloomed out of flask. Usually you gotta wait like 2 to 3 years from flask. This thing bloomed less than a year and a month out of flask, so pretty good. Just some other various Paphiopedilums here and there. Here's like my big clump of wardii. I like how it's filling in. I'm waiting for it to fill in this pot. This pot is full of roots, but yeah, the leaves haven't quite caught up yet, but starting to with all these new growths. Wardii is also a really nice one. Okay, moving on to my leafless guys here. These are Chiloschistas. They're from like Southeast Asia. So I had a little like brief obsession with these guys. So I went on. I had like one plant order where I just ordered a bunch of them, and then I haven't gotten more since. But so I have some that I've set some seed for. You can see that we got this like weird, this really weird looking fruit. It's kind of like a long, like a mini cucumber or something almost. But yeah, I got some of them. This is Chiloschista shanica. I know this one because it's one of the newer species, and it's bloomed recently. But this one has sort of a more unique coloration than your typical Chiloschistas. It's like white with like pink. There's probably some other species with pink, but I think it's like not as common. I think the most commonly kept species is probably Parisii, which I'll show you in a second. Down here, you see it's like kind of these like yellowy green colors. I feel like a lot of Chiloschistas are this yellowy green color. But yeah, my Parisii is in bloom. This is a very weak blooming. But I think these flowers are really cute. I don't know what it is about it. Just their small size, they're very round petals and sepals, and how they like cluster together when they flower. I find it very, very adorable. This one over here, this is Chiloschista lunifera, and I think I have a pretty unique color going for me here. A lot of the ones I've seen when I looked this plant up are pretty red, but mine's got more of like a mahogany tinge going on. So I wonder if that's unique. Let me know if you keep this species and if yours is this color or not. Alright, beside these guys I got my whole bunch of sibling Aerangis fastuosas. These all came out of the same flask. You can see here this guy got scorched by my old lights, and so hopefully my new lighting will be good for these guys. Again, I don't need, what is this, like 20 of the same plant, so I'll likely be also trying to sell some of these in the future as I get more time on my hands. But these guys bloomed again like a couple weeks ago. Very, very strongly scented flowers, but only at night. Actually, I think I have a video of one of these in bloom. But yeah, smells really nice, and I mean they stay small clearly, so pretty nice compact plant. Okay, we're on my bottom shelf now, where I'm drastically running out of space. And I just have a bunch of Paphs slipper orchids here again. This exposure's a little bright. But, oh yeah, I think I mentioned this before too. I got this really interestingly patterned Paphiopedilum. So these are the same, supposedly, species. Same with this one back here that like doesn't have this patterning. So really interested to see what blooms out of this one. I don't know if that's like more or less attractive than the typical leaf, but it's different, right? So it'd be interesting to see if the flower is any different. Back to this handsome little barbatum. Looks like the flower got a little tilted. I must have flicked it around too much. So pretty. And here I have a Paphiopedilum fowlii album in bud. So this guy will probably open up in a week or two. Masdevallia decumana. Oh, Andretana. Masdevallia andretana. Got a bunch of them here. Here's a nice one open. It's got this very nice white color, or I guess it's more cream or ivory than just like plain white, but it's fuzzy, so it's kind of nice to touch as well. Do have a, if you can see here, this is a fruit capsule right here of that plant, so we'll be sowing some seeds of that. Some other Masdevallias I got going on here. This is Anathalus pachyphyta. I don't really grow too many things in pots unless they're, you know, too unmanageable for mounts. But I mean, I don't know how I would ever easily mount something like this. This is just a monster of a plant. Is there any flowers? Oh, here's one. Cute little orange flowers. But yeah, this thing grows really vigorously. I definitely recommend this as a plant. If you're not too hyped about flowers. These leaves are pretty attractive on their own too. Platystellae aurea, or Pleurathalus, I think rubella. There's two names for this. I'm not sure which one's the accepted one. Let me see what I wrote here. Okay, I think the Platystellae name is more accurate. But these guys are tiny. Let me see if I can focus on a flower. Ooh. Yeah, they're cute little yellow flowers, and they look like they have their arms spread for a hug or something. See this one here? He's like, hey, come here. But yeah, these are really fun to keep too, because they're always in bloom, and they're always growing. All right, let's move over here. So here are my the rest of my Masdevallias. Here I have a Xanthina, very reliable plant. It's always been bloom since it started blooming. And again, I had another like mini Xanthina obsession. So like this. Those are all Masdevallia Xanthinas. So I'm gonna try and start a breeding program for those. Here we have Masdevallia persicina. And I have another, you can see another big fat capsule there. But this one is also really enjoying this location. There's like 8 or 10 buds going on here. Some of my bigger ones back there, this one in the middle here that's centered right now is Angulata. I don't know if I'm going to keep that plant, to be honest. It's a little bit big for me. You see back there I have a Sancti Inici, Masdevallia Sancti Inici in bloom. It's a cute little orange guy. But actually, now that I'm here, I think I had a question about fungus, how to deal with fungus on Masdevallia specifically. So, you could go the route and use a fungicide. But the problem with fungicides, a lot of fungicides are, you're going to kill all fungus, right? Not just the ones that are on your leaves. You're going to kill the ones that are beneficial to the plant in the roots. From my experience, I found that fungus on the leaves only really occurs if you keep the leaves too wet, too long, or if the leaves don't get to dry out fast enough after you water them. So one way you could decrease your fungus, or not decrease the amount of fungus on your leaves without spraying something potentially toxic to you or to other stuff in your soil, is to just increase the airflow around your Masdevallias. I used to have a fan back there, but it's temporarily being used for tomatoes. But yeah, I would just increase airflow and see if that reduces the amount of fungus you have. The other thing you can do is, when you see leaves that are really badly covered in fungus, let's see if I can find one. Oh. I mean, I have some black spots here, but I don't know if that is actually fungus or if that is some kind of other temperature-related thing. See if I can find definitely a fungus thing. Oh, okay, this is probably fungus. So what I'd do is I'll just cut that leaf off with some clean scissors, Yeah, should just let the plant keep growing and doing its own thing. Only if it's like really bad would I recommend using a fungicide, just because you don't want to kill off the good fungus that are in your plants. Speaking of that, I actually have like little mushrooms forming somewhere. Let me see if I can find it for you. Alright, so on this Dendrobium here, you can see I have this little white mushroom forming. There's some little mushrooms in there. And that's some kind of, I'm assuming some kind of mycorrhizal fungus, so it has a beneficial function with this host Dendrobium. So if I sprayed fungicide on this because I had fungus on the leaves, it would kill this little mushroom here. Which is why I just recommend cut your leaves that have fungus and increase your airflow. Okay, I hope this video hasn't been too long. I think we're reaching the end here. This is kind of my bucket of other stuff. So that's why it's kind of dirty. But I have this seed-grown Nepenthes veitchii. This is my little baby. You know, for those of you who grow these things from seed, know how long it can take. But yeah, look at this beautiful picture. Yeah, this is just, I just bought this as like a standard crop veitchii. I don't think it had special cultivars in the parentage. However, these two studs back here are Barrio by Barrio CKs, so some kind of special cultivar. I mean, this picture is absolutely fantastic, right? Although, I don't know if it's not mature yet, but this isn't really giving me veitchii in terms of the picture, but it could be because the plant is young. These leaves aren't really mature yet. This leaf isn't really mature yet either. This next leaf looks better. I'm probably gonna uppot these guys soon. This one's less attractive to me. I kind of like the squattiness of veitchii, so this one lacks it a little bit. But I mean, the candy striping on the lip there, the peristome, very attractive. There's another Barrio by Barrio CK, and I guess these are gonna be 2 years old soon, so pretty good size, I think. These ones are both Nepenthes Bachianas. Not my favorite picture, honestly. I mean, look at this. To me, it's a little bit drab compared to veitchii, and these are like a lot more space consuming, I guess you can call it, because it looks like their leaves are spraying a lot more. Although I know veitchii gets humongous, but right now I'm thinking of probably getting rid of at least one of these. Don't need two of these. This one's got a little bit of sadness on here, so I'd probably cut this. I think this is not fungus, but if it is fungus, you know, I just cut this leaf and move on. And then I have a pot of these little guys here. This is again Paphiopedilum alba. So these are kind of what was left over from the flask, the little guys. I don't know if I'm gonna bother growing these out or if I'm gonna try and sell them to someone with more space. But yeah, cute little Paph seedlings. Let's see what else there is in this. Right, my ground plants, I guess we call them. They're over here by the trash. So I have some pleurothalids here, like just straight pleurothallus. This is Nivioglobula. Again, I was running out of space on this shelf over here, so I moved these guys here. This guy's growing like crazy, you know, tons of leaves. Not too many flowers. I wonder if it's because they're kind of lower on the ground. This one is Gomezii, and it's humongous. Not what I expected when I purchased it. Same with this guy here, Tigre. I knew Tigre was big, but I didn't realize it was this big. And I think even leaves like this are not blooming size. I think it has to get like this tall. So we'll see what happens. This is the one I repotted and kind of like tore up a bunch of roots. Clearly it's fine. You can see it's making a bunch of leaves. It's actually growing out of the bottom of this pot too, so probably need to repot it again soon. I have Pleurothallus inornata. This one's got a cute little yellow flower. I have this one in tissue culture right now, so I'll have seedlings for it in about a year. And then here I just have like random stuff I'm propagating, so just like rows of, this is Pleurothallus nivioglobula. These are all Lepanthes, more Lepanthes, more Lepanthes, more Lepanthes. There's some Restrepias here. But yeah, and then there's my like potted stuff. But anyways, again, sorry I haven't been super active lately with updates and stuff. I hope I've covered a lot of existing questions that I sort of said I would answer, and then like I didn't answer in other videos. But let me know if you have any other questions for me regarding culture of my plants, or just pleurothalids in general, orchids in general. Happy to answer them. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.